Let me call Harish Bijoor, Chief Executive Officer of Harish Bijoor Consulting. He's a brand domain specialist operating out of Bangalore, runs a unique boutique firm, consulting outfit branded Harish Bijoor Consults Inc. And I'm going to leave the rest of the introduction to him since he's a brand himself. He's probably going to speak about the brand and about himself as well as about building brands. So Harish, tell us more about yourself when you come on the dais. Thank you very much.
May I request that my PPT gets put up? Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure being here in your midst today at this gala event of the NAR. Is the presentation coming up? Yeah? Okay, it's up. Thank you. Okay. Pleasure being here. So I'm going to be speaking to you pretty fast, pretty quick. But fundamentally, I'm going to be speaking about a set of thoughts which hopefully will resonate with your business, which talks about reality, realtors, the broking system, the intermediation setups, and possibly some trends that exist in your business. But before I start, I must first pull your leg a bit, and I'm going to start with that. In the sense that, you know, when I look around this audience, you're all looking so dignified and so nice. Always good to look dignified, but I see a lot of you in ties. You know, the ties that you're wearing. I'm not wearing a tie today purposely. Not that I don't ever wear a tie, but let me tell you a story as to why I don't ever wear a tie. And after that, let me jump into my presentation, which anyway will not take too much time. I've crisply made the presentation for a total of 30 minutes, and I will stick to that. Now, the thing is, you know, I started my career with levers, and I was working with levers for the first 8 years of my career. And when I started my career, I started wearing a tie. Because at levers, there was a rule that I joined as a group management trainee, which was the executive cadre, which means that if you were an executive, you had to wear a tie. Because if you did not wear a tie, you would not be allowed into the executive dining room at lunchtime. And those days, I was young. Yes, once upon a time, even I was young. At 23, you want to join a corporate enterprise like levers only to eat the 8-course lunch. And so I wore a tie for 8 years. After that, I joined the Tatas. When I joined the Tatas, I joined as a general manager, marketing. And I landed up at Kolkata. It was a very Bada Sahib culture, sit-down meal, just about 8 general managers sitting together and having a meal in Bishop Lefroy Road in Kolkata. And again, you had to wear a tie, because without a tie, you were not allowed inside. So I would keep a tie hung up in my room. Just before lunchtime, I'll put it on and walk in. 16 years of wearing a tie. Then I joined a startup in those days in telecom, and I was meeting bankers all the time. Bankers, if you meet without wearing a tie, they would think you don't have anything in the upper story, so I had to wear a tie. After all these years, a very dear friend of mine had organized a conference at Jaipur, something like this. There were about 600 and odd people. It was India's first BPO conference, and I do a fair bit of work in branding. So I landed up there, and there was a very dear friend of mine who used to head up NASSCOM, who had invited me. It was a NASSCOM conference. Some of you might know his name, a guy called Devang Mehta, who died young. Now the thing is, I landed up at Jaipur, went there. Jaipur was 43 degrees centigrade. Devang was in a 3-piece suit and a tie. I was in a 2-piece suit and a tie. I looked at Devang and I asked, Devang, why do people wear ties? You know, the tie is a very uncomfortable piece of garment. It clogs up your neck. And when you're swallowing, you can't swallow well. You can't eat well. But still we wear the tie. Plus, I had another question. Women are lucky on this, huh? You don't have to wear a tie at all. Yeah. The thing is, I had a problem. The thing is, I had a question, why do people wear ties? So I looked at Devang, may his soul rest in peace, and I asked him, why do people wear ties? Devang looks at me and says, Harish, you have come to address India's first BPO conference. The internet revolution is happening and you're asking me a question. I said, Devang, what do you mean? So Devang looks at me and says, in the day and age of the internet, if you ever have a question, only ask the internet the question. The complete answer is given only by your search engine. So he took me to this search engine called askjeeves.com. How many of you have been there? All of you. Ask any question, you get a response. So the guy looks at me, says ask. So I said, why do people wear ties? One simple stupid question to a search engine, 2,65,000 answers come up. That's how the internet is. I can't bore you with all the answers, but the top answer made me stop wearing a tie. Okay? And the top answer said, it seems everything that we do in life has a meaning. Yes or no? Yeah. The column which we put in front of our houses has a meaning because that rangoli is meant to be put with rice powder so that the small little insects and animals around, small little insects, eat it up and they give their blessings to you. It's not Lakshmi coming to your house as people tell you. But the point is it's blessings coming from animals, live and let live. Of course we went and spoilt it. We start putting chalk powder now. No ant wants to eat it. And so I asked, what is the purpose of a tie? It said, in the older days when people sat down in Britain to actually eat a hearty meal, they took a big piece of cloth and tied it round their necks. So the tie is essentially a bib. So the day I heard that, I stopped wearing it. And one more functionality, one more. The second functionality of the tie, which we never do, is that after you eat a hearty meal, you're meant to take that piece of cloth and wipe your mouth with it. But we don't do that. Okay, having said that, let me jump into my presentation. That was just to pull your leg and say that, you know, we wear ties, we don't wear ties, etc. Okay, let's go. First of all, I must talk to you a couple of things, and I hope this is, yeah, the clicker. For a start, I want to tell you, let's define a brand. This session is about branding. What is a brand? Whenever I ask a person, what is a brand? They say, the brand is a name. A brand is a slogan. A brand is a symbol. A brand is an identity. A brand is a reliability. A brand is a trust mark. All of it is true. Look at NAR, the National Association of Realtors. The moment you say NAR, you have an appreciation that it's a body which controls this industry. And you have the memories of the past 6 NAR days and conventions that you've had. You suddenly get in your mind a memory of the person who heads NAR, the committee that organizes NAR, the event. So if you really look at it, the brand is a name. A brand is a slogan. NAR, I hope you have a slogan. What's your slogan? Credible voice of reality. Not credible? Okay, voice of real estate and home ownership, right? Okay, now see, that seems to be your complete slogan. It's extremely important to understand that brand is a name and a brand is a slogan and a brand is a symbol. Do you have a symbol? You have a symbol. Yeah? Now the moment you look at it, maybe you won't remember the details of the symbol, but then you will see somewhere around here that there is a symbol. And that symbol is a subliminal symbol that comes at you and screams at you whenever you look at it in brochures, whether you look at it in the electronic medium or wherever else. And the brand is an identity. NAR has an identity and a brand is a reliability. The moment you say that you belong to NAR, possibly you exude cues of reliability. And therefore, brand is all this. And of course, it's a trust mark. I hope it's a trust mark. I'm sure all of you believe it is a trust mark. And I'm sure all of you invest your everyday work in creating the NAR into a trust mark. Because the more trusted NAR is, the more trusted you are and you will be. So to an extent, you belong to NAR and NAR belongs to you. Every small step and measure that you as a participant of NAR takes builds the entire reputation of NAR equally. So you give and you take. That is a brand, guys. And of course, it's a trust mark. So if you really ask me, a brand is all these things. My definition of a brand is slightly different. I define the brand very simply. I say, you know, I go around to university towns talking about brand definitions. So I say the brand is a thought. Full stop. Then they ask me, what else? I say, that's all. Nothing more. Nothing less. And this is my definition. It defies the definition put forward by Professor David Archer, who calls it differently, a capfora. The capfora definition is something that I would contest at this point of time. The brand is not a promise. The brand is a thought. To that extent, every thought in your mind is a brand. And a super brand in your mind could be the thought of your father, your mother, your grandmom, could be Harley Davidson, could be Volkswagen, could be a Lamborghini, or could be NAR. We don't know. So if you look at it, the brand is a thought. And then I say the brand is a thought that lives in a person's mind, because the brand is a thought that lives in a person's mind. Different people, different thoughts of the same brand. This is a very important point. There are, let's say, 800 people in this audience. Each one of you has NAR in your mind, but each one of you is likely to have a different impression of NAR. It's quite likely that 80% of you believe NAR is a total positive, and it's quite likely that 5% of you are sitting on the fence, and it's quite likely that 15% of you have a different thought of NAR. So the brand is a thought that lives in a person's mind. And when something lives in a person's mind, it's very difficult to manage. You, as a broker, has a reputation in the minds of people. Your name, your individual name is a brand. Your individual name, the moment your name comes up in the market, people say, oh, Mr. Ramesh Sampath, Irvin Beckham. Wow, I want to meet Irvin Beckham. I want to meet Ramesh Sampath. Why? Because you have built your reputation. And that thought of yours is the brand in the person's mind who you go to meet. Prestige Constructions, Silver Line. If you really talk of names such as these, they are door openers most of the time. If on your visiting card, possibly they open doors. And that is the brand of the corporate you represent. On that, the symbol of NAR, Mr. Ramesh Sampath works for Silver Line and is a member of NAR. Okay, 3 positive strokes. Different people, different thoughts of the same brand most of the time. Okay, guys, let's go. Question, what is Kingfisher? When I ask you this mostly, all of you say it's a beer. Happy. Some of you would say airline. Kingfisher is a bird. Is a bird. But Dr. Vijay Mallya, who hails from the city, has convinced people that Kingfisher is a beer. And that's the power of a brand. The moment you forget that a bird is a bird but is a beer, you start thinking of it as a beer, that's the power of branding. And now what is Red Bull if I ask you that? Now you'll tell me it's a bull which is colored red. And not true. It gives you wings. It gives you wings. So if you ask me, extremely important to understand, brands are imageries. Your personal imagery is important in the real estate market you govern. Your company image is important in the market it governs. And the body, the industry body's impression and image is equally important at the top level. Now, if you ask me, 1 + 1 + 1 is not equal to 3. I've been working in the real estate market in India and in Southeast Asia and UK for the last 15 years. My first UK client was exactly 15 years from now in the year 2000. From then on, I've seen 1 + 1 + 1, the individual plus the company plus the association is not equal to 3, it's possibly 55. It's possibly 60. And incidentally, the individual happens to be the smallest unit of this entire relationship. Okay, the brand is a very powerful thought, guys. A thought that can be positive and a thought can be equally negative. There are some people in the industry you don't want to meet at all. There are some people in the industry, the moment you hear the name, you say, hey, can you send someone else? Ouch. What is that? That is negative branding. And that is extremely critical to avoid, if you ask me. The brand, my dear friends, is a function of its actions, what you do, of its inactions, what you don't do, of its acts of commission, what you have actually known to have done, of your acts of omission, of what you have forgotten to do, and of its reputation. So this is a brand, and each one of you as an individual carries it. In the real estate market and in the insurance market, I've done studies across these two segments in across 16 different countries. They are very common. Insurance is trust selling. Real estate is trust selling. Insurance is 1:1 selling. Real estate is 1:1 selling. Extremely important to understand that your individual brand is as important as anything else. Okay, perception is very important, my dear friends. Perception as to what people think of you. Do they think of you as positive? Do they think of you as negative? So extremely important that the brand at the end of it all is a perception. You know, I was in Germany a couple of weeks ago. I was speaking to a similar audience, not real estate, that was more of an insurance audience which had come in from Europe. When I was speaking to them, suddenly one gentleman raises the hand and says, Mr. Bijoor, you speak so much of branding. Please describe branding using an Indian word. Now, I was foxed because all my branding I do is in the English language. So immediately I scratched my head and I said, the brand is Maya. Maya. It is very true. Maya is a Sanskrit word. Maya. It is here and at the same time, it is not here. The brand is a perception and perception is Maya. And guess what? Sadly, perception is more important than the truth. Ouch. I feel terrible to say this. Perception is more important than the truth. And that's what a fair bit of branding is. Sadly, perception more important than the truth, so please watch it. However, you build your brand best when you stay close to the truth. Never move away from the truth. Never stray away from the path. Most powerful, strong and durable brands are built closest to integrity. How has the real estate industry in India linked its future to integrity? How has the real estate industry in India promised and delivered on time? There's a big worry factor on the real estate industry in India. How has the real estate industry not promised the sky and delivered the earth? Extremely important to understand, and I think that is what creates a better impression of the industry. The real estate portion of business of this country is an industry. There's the film industry. There's the real estate industry. The industry must gather repute. And for that, it can be gathered either bottom up by the individual function of each of you individuals, or it can be garnered top down through a branding effort which your industry might require. I see a lot of you doing a lot of individual advertising, but I don't see enough of industry advertising that is sexy, peppy, and with it. The market you're selling to is a young market, my dear friends. 54% of the population of this country is below the age of 25. How many of you are below the age of 25 in this room? Please put up your hands. Okay. 54% of you. 72% of the country. Now this question will make you happier. 72% of India is below the age of 35. How many of you are below the age of 35? Okay. Okay. Thank you. And the rest of us are on the other side. And guess what the disaster is? The disaster is older people like us market to younger people in the audience. And guess what, guys? A lot of time we age with our times. Yes, there are many people who don't age
with physical age. With physical age. But there are many others who age with their physical age and they forget the market. Selling in India is selling to the young. Understand that with clarity. Those who don't do this fall by the wayside. Starting point to recognize in all branding is that all those around you are the most intelligent and the most intuitive people. Or any negative play on the intelligence will go down the gut. One complaint about the real estate industry. I did a study of 14 real estate companies in India for a client based in UK who's an investor, who's essentially a PE fund. I do a fair bit of due diligence on real estate companies. So during the due diligence of these 14 companies, I pumped in a lot of issues. And one of the issues is that the real estate industry tends to at times take shortcuts. And the shortcuts seem to play on the intuitiveness of individuals and the intelligence of individuals. And lack of knowledge at times on part of the buyer seems to be a key issue which is capitalized upon by the real estate industry. Self-criticism is extremely important for us, my dear friends. I consider myself a part of you because I've been working with you guys for a fair bit of time. If you look at an investor who's looking at investing in a company, he's looking at all this very, very carefully today. In my due diligence of a real estate company, the integrity, the honesty standards, the ability to be straight talking with customers is a very important point that I recommend. And let me assure you, on the 14 companies that I've done a due diligence with thus far in India, the 15th one is going on, there's a very difficult factor for me to factor in. And it becomes embarrassing because I believe in telling the truth because the investor wants to know the truth. So if you look at it, we need to be careful about this. Okay, very quickly on real estate and marketing, the reality of reality today, as I call it, that was a brand capsule where I thought I'd talk to you about the brand. I'm going okay on time. Real estate and marketing. The reality of reality today is business imperatives are changing, my dear friends. If you look at it, the trigger point of all business is the consumer. Yes or no? Yeah. The customer you meet. And the customer today has two currencies. In the older days, the customer had only one currency. That was money. He had money in his pocket. The second currency is the more important currency in today's age. It's called time. The young people we sell to today have less time than the older people we used to sell to in the older days. Time is more precious. You know why? Because money can be earned and regenerated. Time can only be spent. Am I right? In that kind of a situation, the real estate industry needs to jack up its approaches to be time sensitive and impatience sensitive. So if you look at it, this consumer, you and I touching are changing. The demands on her currencies is changing. He's got money and he's got time. The demand on these two things are changing like mad. Morphing forever in mind, mood, in tone and tenor in every way. The guy wants delivery on a date. If you don't give delivery on that date, in the older days, 6 months was permissible. Okay. In the old days, 1 year delay was okay. But today, every day's delay is a black mark on the person who's delivering out there. And let me assure you, I'm part of your industry in many ways, as I keep saying. Not too many people in this crowd can stand up and say, I have delivered on time all the time. So every customer you leave a black mark with is a cumulative, it has a cumulative effect on your brand image of your company, of yourself, of everything else. Extremely important to understand this. Business imperatives are changing on these currencies. We need to wake up and smell the coffee. We're a young nation, impatient nation, I told you. India is completely young, my dear friends, so young and impatient. I'll tell you a story on impatience. I have a 14-year-old son. The guy goes to school. How many people here are impatient? Please put up your hands. Yeah. Your customers are more impatient than you are, by the way. Yeah. Okay. Having said that, my son goes to school. Morning he goes to school. There's a school election. He stood for the position of a sports secretary. Comes back in the evening. He's looking totally depressed to me. I look at my son. I go up to him. Accidentally he finds her father at home. I go up to him, pat his back, and I say, son, it is okay. Winning and losing is a part of the game.
in a baritone, okay? Son, winning and losing is a part of the game. That's called Gyan giving in India. Now, I do that. My 14-year-old son, if any of you have 14-year-old children or teenagers, you know they don't like all this. He pushes my hand off and says, Appa, I have not lost. He calls me Appa, which means father. I have not lost. Then I say, what happened? He says, election happened this morning, results are not out. Ah, impatient fellow. So I look at him and call him aside. I get another chance to give Gyan, knowledge. So I sit him down and I say, son, this is impatience. Impatience is bad. Then he says, why? Then I sit him down for 20 minutes and talk to him about patience. First name I take out is Mahatma Gandhi. I talk about what Gandhiji had to say about patience to him. My son listens. My son does not emote with Mahatma Gandhi because Gandhiji he's read only in his textbooks and he sees in the 500 rupee currency notes his father gives him as pocket money. He does not emote. The only Gandhi he can emote is with Rahul Gandhi, and even that is a little bit of a issue. Next, I sit him down and I talk to him about Swami Vivekananda. This was a year ago, 2 years ago, Swami Vivekananda's 150th birth anniversary was on. I sat him down and talked to him about Swami Vivekananda, what Vivekananda ji had to talk about patience. My son, 14 years old, does not emote with Swami Vivekananda at all. He comes from a generation which would rather emote with Swami Nityananda. Having said that, I sit him down after 20 minutes of Gyan giving, he looks at me and says, Appa, and this is the crux of it, Appa, tell me one thing, when you can be impatient, why be patient? When you can be impatient, why be patient? My dear friends who are above the age of 25, please understand one thing. Impatience is the norm among the young. We older people have grown on a regimen of marketing to patient customers, marketing to patient people. Patience is dead, if not dying or on the stretcher. Patience is dead. The reality is impatience. We older people think patience is a virtue. Patience is a vice. Impatience is a virtue today. The last time, my dear friends, when you went up, when you did not get that promotion, you went to your boss, what did the HR person say? Be patient. All that nonsense does not work anymore. When you go to your customer and say, he says, what is this? January 2012 delivery was supposed to happen. This is September 2015. You can't say, be patient. You are over, my dear friends. We live in an new generation. India is impatient and we are marketeers are good. Important point, we marketeers in the real estate industry are good at marketing to patient people. We are not good at marketing to impatient people. Retrain to market to impatient people. The iGen is here. In my book, I call it the iGen, which is not the internet gen, it's the impatient gen. Okay. Okay, my dear friends, are you talking in the language of the young in real estate? Very important question. Why India? All across the world. I work in Turkey. I have the same issues in Istanbul. I have the same issues in Southeast Asia. I work in Thailand. I have the same issues in Thailand. So if you really ask me, it's across the globe. So watch it. The world is becoming impatient. Move over the old ways of best practice. You remember a lot of us in real estate would use best practice as a terminology. Best practice. Best practice is gone, my dear friends. There's a new science called clean practice. Clean practice. I put this together 8.5 years ago. How did I put clean practice into place? Very simply, by looking at the world. You know, my dear friends, clean practice does not mean honesty and integrity alone. It means clean with the entire environment, clean with the entire situation around us, clean in the way we do business. Inclusiveness. How inclusive are we?
maybe I have just time for one story on this, which is simply this, my dear friends. I was traveling in Italy in one of the prefectures, and in one of the smaller prefectures near Milan. And I walked into a coffee shop. This is where I got my idea of clean practice, and I built a philosophy around clean practice. I'm not going to talk about clean practice, so I would request you to please read a paper on this which I've written and published about 8 years ago in the Harvard Business Review. Those who want a link can get it on Twitter. How many of you on Twitter here? What? Oh, tells your age straight away. If you're not on Twitter, you are not with the market. So my suggestion is get on Twitter and please pick up this paper and try and look at it. What is this? I was traveling in Milan, went into a coffee shop. I love coffee, walked into the coffee shop. There you have to pay money before you actually get the coffee. So I went to the counter, I was about to pay the money, and the guy looks at me and he says, "Sir, would you like to suspend a coffee?" Suspend a coffee? I said, I worked in corporate for 20 years. I've not suspended a single individual in my mind. How, we want to suspend a coffee? The guy says, "No, sir, it's a concept." The moment he said concept, my antennae rose and I asked, "What is this concept?" The guy looks at me and says, "Sir, you are a rich man." I don't like as an Indian to be told I'm a rich man. I say no. And then he says, "You're a rich man because you're from India." I said, "India is a poor country and the only rich person in India is a person of Italian origin." So having said that, so I looked at him and I looked at him and the guy says, "Sir, I'm saying you're rich from India because you took a flight ticket in, you have a flight ticket back, flights cost a lot of money, nobody can fly like that, poor people can't fly." I said, "Okay, I'm a rich person." "Sir," he says, "if you had come in with another person, would you have bought that person a coffee with your money?" I thought and I said, yes, if it was a lady, definitely. If it was a man, maybe, depending and all that. The guy says, "Imagine, sir, that you walked in with another person." I said, "What?" Now I'm thinking whether he's doing a con manship on me. I said, "Okay, think you came with one person, you're buying one coffee, you give me double the money." I said, "Why?" "I will give you 2 coffees. I said, "I don't want 2 coffees. He says, "I'm not going to give you 2 coffees. You take 1 physical coffee, the other coffee I'll suspend." What is suspend? He's got a white board. He says Italy is a poor country. You have a stomach, you have a bladder. They also have a stomach, they also have a bladder. There is a see-through transparent cafe. It's a cafe. There's a small board which is facing outside. On that it's written suspended items list. And there's cappuccino, latte, bagel, donut, etc. And there are tally marks on it. He says, "If you suspend a cappuccino, I'll take 1 tally mark and put on that board." I said, "What will happen?" He says, "Poor Italians, when they're walking, they too want it. They can't afford to pay money. They will walk in and say, 'Give me 1 suspended cappuccino.'" When he says, I know he's the poor man, so I'll give him 1 item, but I give him only 1 item per person. I'll give him that 1 item, he takes that 1 item and goes free. I said, wow. Then the Indianism in me came out. And I said, how does he know that I gave it to him? Then the guy looks at me and he throws an Easternism on me, okay? He looks at me and says, "Sir, he will not know that you gave it to him." You remember the Easternism? Your right hand must not know what your left hand gave to whom. The guy is telling me in Italy, in a prefecture near Milan. The second thing, I said, "What will I get?" He says, "Blessings." Blessings? From where? From where? How do I know it comes to me? He quotes Easternism to me, which is an Indianism, where we say the concept of kainat. Kainat. A famous Hindi movie made it very famous. Which one? Om Shanti Om. Kainat, you put good into the universe, good will come back to you in your present birth, or if you believe in the next 7 births, or if you don't believe, to your children, and their grandchildren or their grandchildren. Put good into the universe, good will come back to you. My dear friends, this gave me the idea of clean practice branding, clean practice marketing. I made it a profession. I operate with clean practice branding ethos with 27 different companies across the world. I'm sad to say, I was sad to say till about 6 months ago that no Indian company has called me to do it. But one Indian company has just invited me about 6 months ago and we're working with them. There are 28 companies in the world where we practice clean practice branding. I think the real estate industry needs to embrace clean practice branding. Clean is the big buzzword of the future. I'm going into my conclusion phase. Look around, there's a hunt for hygiene. Some time ago we had, we all want clean air, yes or no? Clean water, clean earth, clean everything. Clean food, clean politics. Some time ago we went behind Arvind Kejriwal with a jhadu. I mean, not behind him, but he took the jhadu and went behind us saying that, vote for me because of clean. Why? Because clean is what we are all living for. Can the real estate afford to stay away from the clean language in the future at all? Big question mark. Answer, no. You can't. How are you investing in clean practice? How are you making it an ethos? Move away from best practice, move to clean practice. At least read my paper. A hunt for clean politics, a hunt for clean governance, a hunt, it's a reactionary moment. This is a reactionary moment. Clean is a reactionary moment. We first dirty it. We dirty the environment. We dirty everything. Then we want to clean it up. Okay? It's extremely reactionary, but marketeers are guilty for it. The world is looking for green and clean and eco-friendly and inclusive and more. You have to be all of this. Build your brand with the magic bricks of each of these. Extremely important. Okay? And pack it with the enduring mortar of integrity. Integrity is the mortar and the bricks are all these items. I'm going to close with 3 reality issues as I see it ahead, and I base it on on my research across these 14 companies. I've done a due diligence in India, Southeast Asia, and one in Germany. Okay. One of the big ones is the language of development. By the way, the mosquito there is the dengue mosquito. Okay, it's the Aedes aegypti. Aedes aegypti is the one that's spreading dengue around. So I have a concept there. The language of development will be questioned. We all say real estate is developing the market. Take it from me, my dear friends. Consumers are questioning this ethos. They're asking, is real estate development or is it negative? And guess what, guys? The first city that is going to ask this question is the city we are sitting in. This is going to ask. In Thailand, Bangkok has asked this question. In Japan, Tokyo has asked this question. Osaka has raised its head and asked its question. New York, Manhattan has asked this question time and again. And over a period of time, it will be questioned everywhere. By the way, India is on a faster cycle than all that. We'll not wait for it. The questions will come. This is an overheated market at this point of time. Bengaluru is. The real estate office space market in this city is one of the largest. The residential spaces is also going large. So if you really ask me, this will be questioned. Be ready for it. Social ostracism is coming. Social ostracism is coming. When you say, I'm a builder, people will look at you differently. Redefine this, my dear friends. I'm telling you this on this day, the 23rd of August 2015. Remember my words, if nothing else. If you don't reinvent your company, your corporate ethos, your ethics, your way of doing business, this will become a big issue. Social ostracism. What all will be avoided? Sugar. Too much sugar is bad. Too much salt is bad. Alcohol is bad. I don't agree with that. Cigarette smoking is bad. Real estate development is bad. Ouch. Watch it. Inclusive development will be demanded. You develop, but develop inclusively. You know, I have this dengue mosquito syndrome, as I call it. I wrote a paper on it. Those who are interested, again, go to Twitter and pick it up. How many of you are committing to get onto Twitter today? Come on, let's see. Please, you know, the older of us, we should get on Twitter at least to keep an eye as to what our children are doing there. Okay? The mosquito, the dengue mosquito, flies in a lifetime 100 kilometers. The dengue mosquito breeds in the slums around your gated enclaves which have been developed. The dengue mosquito flies not through the gate of the gated enclave, but flies in the air and lands up at the nice little home in the gated enclave. The dengue mosquito is totally democratic. It bites everybody it sits on. The dengue mosquito does not know that this is a HNI, a high network individual or a person who is living in a slum. The dengue mosquito spreads dengue without all this. By the way, what is development? Develop the gated enclave, develop the buildings, develop 6-kilometer radius around you, participate in the development of the entire area in whatever little way you can. Whatever little way you can. And guess what? With so many builders around, this corpus can be big. If we don't take care of the surroundings will overtake us. So please be careful about this one point. I am underlining it. Your brands need to have answers. Important point I want to make is good brands answer before being asked, not after. Before being asked, the builder community is safe. After being asked, the builder community is unsafe. Please understand. The builder community must take the first step before being pushed to take that step. And my understanding of the industry tells me we should do it fast. My recommendation, when should you do it? Now. Second last point, e-commerce and omni-commerce is here. E-commerce is here. E-commerce is competition to every physical broker. Every physical broker. The battle in the field is between the two. App-based guys are coming in a huge way. Are you showing the importance of the broker? Are you showcasing? By the way, I told you the broker is a very important person in real estate and in insurance. Okay? If you look at it, this needs to be taken care of you. I won't talk too much on this because I'm running out of time. Another 2 minutes and I'm off. You need a campaign. Yeah. Okay. Essentially, you need a campaign on this count, guys. The broker is a very important guy. The broker is important. Why is the broker important? He's 1:1. The broker is a name. The broker is a person. The broker is not an inanimate website. Guess what? I've done an analysis, and I won't take brand names, of 6 real estate portals. One of them is the most famous real estate portal in India today. Okay? I've done it. Out of them, when I do a study for them, because I'm doing work on one of them, I'm told very clearly by consumers I've met, we have met 14,200 customers, potential customers of residential property and office space property. Out of these, 2,000 are office space property and the other 12,000 plus are residential properties. They say they would not like to look at an e-commerce portal because of the idea of trust not being there. Trust. You are trustworthy, my dear friends. You are an individual. You are a face. Fly by night is, in inverted commas, a word people have used very strongly in my research in India. You cannot be fly by night, but when they look at an app, they say, I worry. But believe it or not, my dear friends, you have a window of 2.5 years. After that, the world will all go differently. Don't think that just because people are buying shoes and clothes and lingerie online, they will buy real estate also with equal gusto online. But this window is only for about 30 months you have, under my estimation. I can be wrong. 30 months window, make the best of it. Put a campaign together for the broking community. Put a campaign where you will say how the face of the broking community is all about reliability and trust and 1:1. Make an icon for yourself, under the NAR maybe. Make an icon, make an individual, go with it and run with it. The smart city. The third point is smart city and technology, my dear friends. The technology future is here. How many of you are tech savvy totally? Put up your hands. Okay. The answer tells me what's happening. Okay? Extremely important for us to get very tech savvy because the future is tech savvy. Okay? The technology future is IoT. How many of you are aware what IoT is? Please put up your hands. Very small number, please note. The Internet of Things. Cisco calls it the Internet of Everything. I work a fair bit in the technology arena, and take it from me, the most exciting space of work is technology. IoT, what is IoT? IoT is the Internet of Things. You walk in, how many of you are wearing fitness bands on your arm, wrist? Okay, one of you, two, three, two of you. Great. 5 years from now, 50% of this audience will be wearing fitness bands on your wrist. What is a fitness band? A fitness band is a small little sensor which is coming into a band. This is a small little sensor. This is a sensor, and this sensor everyone will wear. This is just one device. I'm wearing it on my wrist. It tells me how much I walk, how many steps I take every day. It tells me how well I slept. What's the need of it? Because this sensor is linked to my personal physician's mobile phone. He knows every day how much I walked. By the way, he's already sent me a text message. Harish, you walked only 1,720 steps today. That's his way of showing he's proactive, okay? By the way, all real estate brokers will have sensors like this, which will tell a lot. Whether you're in the market, whether you're at the beauty parlor, whether you're having at the spa, etc., etc. Now the thing is, a sensor-led future. It connects to my doctor. My doctor also knows how well I slept yesterday. Now this can prove a little intrusive. Huh? Now the thing is, he knows exactly how many hours I slept yesterday. Yesterday I slept 4 hours 30 minutes because it was a weekend night. 4 hours 30 minutes. That's not good. So over a period of time, you connect to your doctor continuously. In the United States of America, insurance companies land up at your door to give you medical health insurance. If you're wearing a fitness band, you get a 5% discount because that itself tells you that you're fitness conscious. Then they take, sir, can we download your data? They've got a small machine, they download the data, and in that they see if you walk 30,000 steps a day, your premium is lower. If you walk 20,000 steps a day, your premium is slightly higher. 10,000 steps, and if you don't walk at all, you're the highest premium guy. Guys, this is health. I do this work in 21 different verticals. I give you another example, automotive. We deal with a company which is in high-end luxury cars based out of Germany. The car maker has got sensors in his cars. He's got 42 sensors in his car. This is one sensor, 42 sensors in a car. I drive a car here of his brand. My brake lining is wearing off. The sensor in my brake lining is talking to Dresden and has told Dresden 2 months ago, the brake liner in this chassis car is running out. This car is registered with Sundaram Motors in Kasturba Road in Bangalore. 2 months ago, Dresden, the manufacturing facility, knows that my brake liner is running out, and 2 months ago in Dresden, they manufactured a brake liner for me just in time, and they've dispatched it. It takes 4 weeks for the liner to arrive at Bangalore Customs. It takes 2 days to clear customs, I don't know why, and out it comes into the market. By the time my brake liner is kaput, I go to Sundaram Motors, the guy no longer tells me it takes 6 weeks, sir, or he doesn't have to keep inventory, it's there. It's called predictive manufacturing. One is called predictive health, predictive manufacturing, 50 different things. My dear friends, I'm not going to take this story for long. Very simply this, I give you data. The world today, as of 31st March 2015, March, has a total of 10 billion devices. 10 billion devices. Devices means phones, watches, every device. Transmitters, sensors, world has 10 billion devices on 31st March 2015. By 31st March 2016, the world is slated to have 26 billion devices. By 2020, the world is slated to have 87 billion devices, which means your hand will talk to your doctor will talk to your insurance agent, My fridge will talk to my toaster. I'm testing one thing on my fridge. My egg tray has got a sensor for a company I work with. The sensor, the moment there are only 2 eggs in the tray, it sends a message to the mobile phone of the Nilgiri store manager who supplies to me. I have ensured that my sensor is given the ability to charge my credit card. I've set a limit because I don't trust it. 1,000 rupees limit. So immediately my Nilgiri's guy gets a message, send 22 eggs to such and such a flat. He's got the money because it's debited. By the time in the evening we come back, working husband, wife, you go there, at the doorstep there are 22 eggs kept. Guess what? My fridge is doing the ordering. My fridge is talking to my toaster is talking to my washing machine. All that is okay, just as long as my washing machine does not talk to Mrs. Kapoor's washing machine. The device connected future, my dear friends, is important for the real estate industry. Set up a cell under NAR. Set up a cell, because Bengaluru is the capital of technology in many ways. And set up a cell. Bengaluru is the capital of startups. In Bengaluru, we have 5,400 startups. The total square kilometer area of Bengaluru is 712 kilometers. In 712 kilometers, we have 5,400 startups. The total startups in India is 11,500. Out of that, 5,400 are in Bengaluru. We are the capital. You should use this in the industry. Which means that if there are 5,400 startups in 712 square kilometers, it means every square kilometer area has got 8 startups. Which means if you throw a stone, you hit a startup. The sensor-led future, over a period of time, you will not know where your body ends and where the device begins. It's going to happen, guys. Okay, clutter in the market is the last point, is for real. How do you rise above it? Extremely important. Push brands. We have all been push-led brands in the real estate industry. Now you should start thinking pull-led. How do you become that magnet? How pull-led are you? Please question that. Do a due diligence on your pull-led strategies. Do you invest enough in branding as opposed to selling alone? How much of a magnet are you? Is your advertising is also push-led? Shouldn't it be a little pull-led? Think of it. And the quietest whisper in the market is the loudest at times. Having said that, in summary, I'd like to say, choose your business model. I morphed a very famous saying, choose your business model. Choose your business model. Model 1 is business model that makes things happen. A real estate broker, a real estate broking firm, a real estate firm should be in a business model that makes things happen. Model 2 is business model that watches things happen. Let me wait and watch and see. Model 3 is business model that wonders what happened. You don't want to be in 3. If you want to be in 1, you have to get into proactive, pull-led branding. Please have faith in branding, invest in branding, go ahead with branding, brand your way ahead. Having said that, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. I know I will not have time for questions, so I'm leaving you an email ID here. And I'm also leaving you a Twitter ID, which you could look at. And if you're welcome to actually mail me. And if you mail me, I promise to respond to you. And there's one more click I have to make, which is not happening. Could you click the next slide for me, please? Yeah. Okay. So I've given you all these contacts because I don't have time for questions today. So if you mail me and say you are at the NAR forum, I promise to reply to you within 24 hours. Okay, and that promises for 1 month. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure being here. Take care. God bless. Bye.
Harish, firstly, my apologies to you. I should have said, let him speak for 1 hour rather than saying cut short. I think we should have really, everything else was overshadowed by what he did. Outstanding. I wish I knew you from before. What a lovely session you gave us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. We'd also like to give a special memento to you, and I'm going to ask none other than the convention chairman to please step up. Farooq, please honor Harish in this. Thank you. Come on, give him a bigger hand, guys. Standing ovation for him. Thank you, Harish. Chairman, NAR India, please give the other memento to Harish. Thank you very much. Okay, so we go to the next session. We are eternally grateful